All right, Emilina, thank you so much for being on Inspire Your Success podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to finally connect. Like I said, I found you on Instagram and really loved the brand that you were promoting, and I'm really excited to bring on someone that is in the health and fitness side of writing, because there's really a niche for everything out there, and it's so fun to showcase all the inspiring stories out there. But yours is kind of similar to mine, where you got started in that 9 to 5, and we're looking for a little bit more. So I know you're doing really well with the writing side of things now, but let's take us back a little bit to what really made you think like, hey, I need to do something other than working for a typical 9 to 5.
So I was working at Deloitte in professional services and consulting, and I just hated it. I kind of went into that job because after university, all my friends were applying to grad schemes. And I was like, okay, this is the done thing. Like, this is what I need to do. And all my family are in the corporate world. So it was just like an obvious thing for me to move into. After working there for a year, I'd taken like zero holiday. I was working long hours and I did not like the people that I was working with. Like, it was a very stressful environment. So I realized I need to do something else. And I was like, okay, I'm really passionate about fitness and nutrition. So how can I make that work? I had an undergraduate degree in medical anthropology. So I was doing a lot of research about nutrition and fitness and that kind of thing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to become a personal trainer and I'm going to start working as a trainer while I am applying to universities to do a master's degree in nutrition. So I actually went to Thailand. It was my first vacation in like a year. And I was really big on traveling. So not having a vacation in a year was like a big thing for me. So when I went to Thailand, I just kind of centered myself and realized that the corporate world was really not for me. So I came back and the next day I quit my job. And I did not have a plan of how I was going to make money. I just kind of threw myself in at the deep end. So I qualified as a personal trainer within a couple months of not working, and I had some savings, so luckily I was okay. And then I was applying for universities to do a master's degree, but I had assumed that the master's degree programs wouldn't start until September the following year, and this was October. So I
Oh,
just missed intake. So I was like, what am I going to do for a year? So I started off by traveling, and when I was traveling, I realized that I could start selling workout plans because I was a qualified trainer online. So I started like building up my Instagram, started selling fitness plans, workout plans, some meal plans, because as a personal trainer, you can sell sports nutrition plans. So I was doing that. And then I met my boyfriend who lived in California while I was traveling. So I decided I'm just going to move to California and I'm just going to do my master's degree online, traveling back and forth. But I realized that I do need to have a freelance position because I can't commit to one country. I can't work in London or just work in California. So I needed to be freelance. And that was kind of my transition into freelance writing.
wow, that is impressive. So you're in Thailand, you had some time alone or with yourself and your thoughts, and you figured the next day you went back to work, you just left.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, when you're in the corporate world, like I'm from London and I was living in central London. I was living 5 minutes away from my office, which is super awesome if you're like a corporate person, a city person. Like, it was very like high energy, very busy. But for me, it just caused me to have a lot of anxiety. I was very stressed all the time and I just wasn't happy. And when I went to Thailand, I kind of connected with the world and I was like, do I want to just sign my life away working for a corporate firm and just working a 9 to 5 and having really limited freedom? Or do I want to work for myself, like hustle, be an entrepreneur, like see what I can do and follow my passion? And that was just so much more appealing to me. So coming back from Thailand, I went into the office the next day and I was just like wearing a suit and I was just like back in this like gray country. Everyone's complaining about stuff. And I was just like, you know what? Like, no, I'm done. So I just quit right then.
That is amazing. What I want to pull on this string a little bit because I know it's similar to what I did. I planned a little bit more, but I had no income coming in when I left. And People thought I was crazy, friends, families, coworkers. I remember my boss being like, how are you going to make money? And I was like, I'm going to figure it out. And so what was that? Was it scary? What were friends, family, people closest to you thinking when you decided to quit on a whim like that?
My parents were actually surprisingly supportive because my dad's very much in the corporate world, and he always said from day one, like, the corporate world is not for you. Like, you're not a corporate person. You're going to hate it, blah, blah, blah. So when I quit, they were kind of like, yeah, that's awesome. But, and luckily I did have some savings from work. So I did have some money to live on. I wasn't going to become homeless. Like, so that was very comforting. But I was really big into like Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and like all that kind of stuff.
Love
So
it.
I was very much like, no, I'm thrown in at the deep end and I'm going to be able to swim. So I was hustling. I was finding ways to make money online. I was thinking about selling fitness equipment. I was doing a lot of different things to try and find a way of making an income. And I definitely think that if you're in a position where it's sink or swim, you will always swim, you know, or otherwise you wouldn't have jumped in the water. So I was definitely like thrown in, but I was loving it. And I was like working every day so much harder than I had been in a corporate position, because I was working towards my passion and towards being free. So it was actually very exciting. I really did not get nervous at all. And I think that was another good thing of becoming a personal trainer, was I knew if everything failed, I could just get a job at a gym and be a trainer.
Yes, I love that. The sink or swim analogy is so big, and Tony Robbins and Gary Vee, that is how I got started as well. So that's really funny. I went and walked on fire with Tony Robbins about 2 months before I quit my job. And I was like, I went back to work that next day, and people, after 4 days of, being around 10,000 people that were just so excited and so eager to live life and to go back to corporate. And people were asking me, do you need a hug? Did you drink the Kool-Aid? I'm like, you know what? You guys are all losers. I'm going to go make something of myself. So I totally hear you there. I love that you kind of, just like you said, hustled and figured it out. And you're really right, because a lot of people are looking for that thing to, say, oh, I can't do it yet. But it's like, if you just jump, you'll figure it out. We're resourceful humans when we want to be. And so I love that part of it. So thanks for sharing that. And then when you were kind of going through it all and you were just getting started, you were in that hustle mode, what made you think pivoting from workout plans to freelance writing?
So I started selling workout plans on Fiverr because I Googled sell workout plans online, and Fiverr was the first thing that popped up. So I made a Fiverr account and I was advertising my services to sell workout plans. And I was doing fine. Like, I was making some money from it, but it just honestly got boring very quickly, because it's kind of a very basic thing. Like, if someone wants to lose weight, it's very basic. You just tell them to eat less.
Eat less, work out more, right?
Exactly. And it just became very tiresome and very repetitive. So I started advertising, okay, I can write fitness articles, because I was always a writer. Like, I was the type of person who would be writing letters to people or writing short stories, writing poems, that kind of thing. And so I always knew that that was a skill that I had. So I thought, okay, I could put that into use and I could start writing about fitness, because that was tying in my passion with my main skill that I had. And that kind of just took off. Like, I immediately started working with great clients. People started sharing my services. People started telling their friends, telling other companies that they were working with me. And it definitely just spread via word of mouth and also through Fiverr. So that was kind of how I went from selling workout plans to selling articles about workouts.
Awesome. And when you kind of started working with the health and wellness area with the writing, was it personal blogs? Was it big websites? I was looking at your personal website before our interview here, and I noticed you've been featured in a lot of big publications. So what were some of your first clients? Were they through Fiverr, or did you find them other ways as well?
Yeah, it was only through Fiverr in the beginning, because honestly, I didn't realize that health and fitness writing was a thing, like, at all. And I didn't even realize that being a writer, a freelance writer, was a thing. I thought if you're a freelance writer, you work for the New York Times or you work for a magazine or a big website. I didn't realize that you could be an independent writer and companies would reach out to you to
Mm-hmm.
get services from. So when I started working with bigger clients, that was really just kind of lit a fire in me. And I was like, wow, like I can make money, I can work with amazing brands, and I can write about my passion. So that kind of just sped everything up for me. And Fiverr is a great way to meet great clients. Obviously, there is a downside to it in the fact that they take 20% of everything you earn. So that can be a lot of money if you're working with big clients. So the best way to work on Fiverr is to meet clients and then take it outside of Fiverr and continue a relationship with them, and also ask them to spread the word.
Mm.
So if you're writing about a very specific niche like health and fitness writing, then it's a really good way to spread your services, because they will probably be in contact with other wellness brands, other fitness companies, and they can tell them about you, and you can just kind of move forward that way.
Awesome. That's really helpful. Yeah, I haven't actually had anyone from that's used Fiverr as a place. I mean, I've had people use cold email and Upwork and job boards and social media and everything else. So that's really cool to know that that's been good for you. And obviously, like you said, you've had the referrals, which is huge. And what kind of content did you start with, and what are you doing now? Was it blog posts or was it Instagram captions? What were some of the projects so people can kind of get a scope of what's out there?
So initially it started with, my first client was a boxing gym in London. So they were asking me to write short articles, 500 words, about how to lose weight doing boxing. And they were using that on their website to advertise their services as a gym. So that was kind of how I started out, just writing very basic articles about why boxing is good for fitness, why exercise can help you lose weight, just very basic ideas like that. And then I went into longer form articles that are like 1,000 words, 2,000 words. And those were with bigger companies or companies that were using it for search engine optimization. So like supplement companies who just wanted to, have lots of keywords, that kind of thing. And then now it's gone into a whole range of content. So I manage a lot of athletes' social medias. So I write Instagram captions that it's a very specific style, which is like having a lot of research, talking about the science behind fitness, the science behind exercise, that kind of stuff. So I do that. I do long form articles, LinkedIn thought pieces. I do wellness reviews of specific products. I write sales copy, email marketing campaigns. I do a lot of content. I basically tell my clients, if you have anything that involves words, I can do it.
That's my favorite saying right there. If you have anything with words, I got it. Yeah, I agree with you there. I always tell my students that just say yes, like you'll figure it out, right? If they're like, hey, can you do email marketing or can you write a script for a video? Just say yes. I mean, it's the same. If you can write one thing, you can figure it out. I mean, sales copy is a little bit different, but for the most part, pretty much everything is the same. So I love that you talked about the diversification, because I think a lot of people kind of get in this, I can only do one thing, or I should only stick to blog posts. And it's really good, I think, to mix it up and have some variety in your day. So one thing I am curious about here is because Instagram's just an unbelievable platform, keeps growing. And you're right that a lot of these athletes and personal brands out there, they might be really good at athletic stuff and their sport, but they might not be the best at writing. So how did you find some of these clients? Were you reaching out via Instagram? I know you have a big following on there. Just because I think a lot of people, that's a whole nother topic that people might not even realize.
Yeah, so I had an Instagram page that was kind of dedicated to fitness. Like initially it was nothing to do with writing. It was just me posting, hey, I just did this awesome workout. Like if you guys want to check it out, this is what I did. Just very basic. Like I wasn't trying to do anything with social media. Like it was just for fun. But I then started writing more scientific captions because I had obviously an academic background in science. And I realized there was a lot of myths in the fitness industry. So some people would contact me and say, hey, do I have to have like a 500 calorie deficit to lose weight? And I'd be like, no, that's really not true. Like, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to make it really simple. And then I started posting my responses to people as captions. So I'd say like, today someone reached out to me about how much of a deficit you need to be in to lose weight. This is what I replied. And then that kind of attracted brands and attracted individuals who had much more successful Instagram pages than I did, people with millions of followers. And they would reach out to me and say, hey, I just made an ebook and I really want to advertise it, but I want people to understand the science behind why this workout helps them. And they didn't really understand the science necessarily because they were in great shape and they loved fitness, but they didn't understand how things worked like that. And by advertising that on social media, it really helps to legitimize a company's product or just their brand in general, because it gives a much more scientific basis for why they're doing what they're doing. So that's kind of how I got into that. So it was a combination of social media, just utilizing it well, and also just word of mouth. So if I started writing for one guy who had 1 million followers. Wow. And he was a fitness influencer, and he just had great connections, like really great connections. So he introduced me to probably like 10 of my best clients. And they're all big names in the fitness industry. One of them is the NFL. So I was very, very grateful for this guy. Like, he definitely like helped me enter the fitness industry as a writer. And I think, yeah, the word of mouth is just the best way to meet new clients in writing. And the only way you're going to do that is A, if you're giving quality articles, but then B, if you're a really great person to work with. And I think working in the professional services firm really helped me to be a good client, because I was really like strict on my timelines, my time management, how I was doing tasks, you know. So I think that really helped me be more a professional than, say, some other freelancers out there.
That's so true. I always say you got to be a better freelancer than you do writer. I mean, you got to be a good writer, but at the same time, people want to work with people that are hitting deadlines and just showing up and editing and just doing the right stuff, because at the end of the day, clients want to work with professionals. So that's good you mentioned that. And by the way, the NFL, that's really cool. Big football fan. Can't wait for sports to be back. But I'm curious, you said you had a lot of different clients. And so that's a big thing I try and talk to people about, is like managing your time and structure and balancing it. Cause I think the most clients I've ever had at once was maybe 7 or 8, like pretty regular work. But that was kind of something I struggled with a little bit, and I had to create some new systems. How are you able to manage it? Is that something you plan each week, each day, each month? Take us a little bit through that, because from what I've found, everyone wants to work at home and be their own boss. But when it comes to managing your time, people really struggle with that, because normally in a 9 to 5, people tell you what to do, where to be. And so we're kind of left out on our own as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, okay, I think I'm quite different to the average person, in the sense of, if someone tells me what to do and when to do it, I cannot work very efficiently. Like when I was working in the corporate world, I was taking 2-hour lunch breaks because I just did not want to go back to work.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, and I just hated it. I just like was not an efficient worker at all. But when I was left to my own resources, I would always get the job done. I would always do it to my best of my ability, and I would enjoy doing it. And I think that working from home, you need to be the type of person that is self-disciplined and is a self-starter. So for me, I have the same morning routine every single day, which I think really, really helps me be efficient as a writer. So I wake up, I work out, I write to-do lists, I write my intentions, I do the first task of the day is the task I'm dreading the most, because I think that that's the best way to do it. So in terms of how I manage working with a lot of clients, I actually write in my notebook a to-do list for every week. So week commencing whatever the date is, and I'll write everything I need to do that week. And then every day I'll write another to-do list for that specific day. And it's kind of like an old school way of doing it, I guess. Like, I don't use any software or anything like that. But for me, it helps me break it down, because I will say, okay, Monday, I'm only working with this client, and I'll finish all the tasks for that one client on one day, or 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, depending on how big the project is. So for me, it's about bulking tasks. I think for some writers that I've met or come into contact with, they switch between tasks. Like, they'll do an hour on this client, hour on that client, hour on this client. And I don't think for me that was the best way to work, because it would use a lot of brain energy to kind of switch between what is the voice for this client, what is the main focus here, and then switch in another voice. It just kind of didn't make sense. So for me, bulking tasks and going one client at a time was the best way to work with a lot of different clients.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I talk about that so frequently as context switching, and it's so easy to do. Like when I was in a 9 to 5, I'd be on a sales call and then I'd be emailing and I'd be in a meeting, and it's that just does not work. I mean, your brain needs time to warm up to each new thing you're doing. And so if you're constantly jumping around, it's just such a time suck. So I'm glad you talked also about the routines and having that. Because I think that that can keep you grounded, like you said, setting intentions. Sounds like you're into a lot of personal development as well. So that's been a big part of my success, I think, is kind of staying with that. Is there anything you would share with new writers as far as like having routines or any type of self-improvement or any woo-woo stuff that you found has helped your business life as well?
Exercise.
Perfect.
That is number one, honestly. Like, it just makes your brain work so much better. I noticed that when I work out in the mornings, I don't forget words. I can write fluidly. I can get into flow state. So exercise to me is obviously the best biohack ever. But I also think that setting yourself up each day, starting initially with consuming content, I think is a great way to get the ball rolling. So the second I get out of bed, I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast, and I'm just kind of getting my brain running. And I think that that's a really good tip for freelance writers, because if you're stagnant in the morning and you're not reading, you're not consuming content, you're starting your day off in an unproductive way. And I think that as a writer, you need to have your brain working at optimal level, you know? So that was kind of a big tip for me.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. I'm a morning writer. Like after about 12 or 1, the brain activity seems to kind of go down, and that's when I switch tasks to editing and some other stuff. So do you find that you write every day, or do you have certain days that you write or certain times? What has kind of worked for you, and what would you suggest other people try out?
So know what time you work best at. So for me, it's similar to you, like 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. That's when I'm writing the most content. I'm in flow state. I can do things very efficiently. I do not attempt to write in the evenings. Like, my brain is not working well. I forget words. I get confused with what I'm researching. So I just really don't even go there. Like, in the evenings, I just do social media planning, or I reach out to blogs, or I just do kind of more the mundane tasks that I don't need to be really concentrated on. So that's what I do. I just work the majority in the morning, and then I also take weekends off. Like, I don't work on weekends, which for me was a really big thing, because when I was working in the corporate world, I did have weekends, and that did help me a lot. But I was always like anxious about getting back into the week. So I was thinking, when I'm going to be a freelance writer, I really want to have weekends, and I really want to take that space. And instead of being anxious about the week ahead, I want to be excited and ready to go. And the way that I'm ready to go and excited is by taking that time off to kind of ground myself, recenter myself, and allow my brain to recover from so much writing throughout the week.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like people don't like think how creative and how much energy is really expelled when you're writing, and so having some time off to just recharge and reset, I think, is so important. So to anyone out there that's like just listening to this, and maybe they're into health and fitness, and they've done some writing and I'm not really sure what to do, what were some like tips, or you think some things that really made you successful in the beginning? Or what would you say to people that are like, man, I really love fitness, I love writing, how can I blend this together? Where would you maybe recommend them getting started?
I would say you have to be your brand. So you really need to understand that if you're writing about health and fitness, you have to be into health and fitness. So you really have to practice what you preach. Like, if I'm writing about HIIT workouts and why I think they're the best thing ever, I need to be doing HIIT workouts, and I need to be loving them, experiencing them firsthand. Because if you're writing about something that you can't relate to, it sounds phony when you're reading it. And I can really tell sometimes when I read sales copy from brands, they just don't know what they're talking about. They're jumping on the latest trend, and they have no experience with that, and it just doesn't sound very good. So for me, if you are genuinely really passionate about health and fitness, that will come out through your writing. So that's tip number one. And tip number two is, you have to be a good writer. I know that sounds dumb, but if you are not skilled at writing, you need to make that your first priority. So you need to like increase your vocabulary, consume content, read books, always read blogs, and you need to stay up to date with all the content that's coming out. Because I think that writing is a skill, and you need to practice it and refine it before you attempt to sell that skill.
Yes, could not agree more to that. And I think that a lot of people do kind of want to work in that area, but maybe they don't always understand it. So I'm glad that you talked about being your brand and doing that on social media. And for people that are starting, do you think that social media, should they just be on one platform? Are you just on Instagram, or you do Twitter, Facebook? What are some like good platforms for writers?
People say that Twitter is a great platform. I'm yet to use that, just because I don't think it necessarily relates very well to my niche, being in health and fitness. I don't really see how I could use that very effectively. So for me personally, in health and fitness, the best platform is Instagram, because I can advertise fitness online. Like, I can post workouts, I can write about the workouts, and it's a great way to connect two types of content, like written content and visual content. So for me, Instagram is the best way. I noticed that other freelance writers on Instagram have a lot of quotes or the images are just like written pieces, which I think works really effectively for some writers. I'm kind of trying that out right now. But for me specifically, it's putting images and videos about fitness and health. And then in the caption, I'm explaining it and I'm giving my little write up. And I think that that's the perfect way to advertise it.
So you think kind of doing it on Instagram is basically like creating a website with samples, basically, of your samples or your captions? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely. Like, I, a lot of the time, will speak to brands and say, hey, check out my Instagram. I can do that for you. Like, if you just send me the pictures or videos, I can write unique content for each picture, each video. And that will help everything. Like, that will help your brand. It will help build a community. It will help legitimize your product that you're selling. So for me, it's like a mini portfolio.
Awesome. That's really, really good. Yeah, I think the writing websites are good, but social media is just such a growing thing. And so if you have the platform right there, take advantage of it.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, before we ask kind of the last question and wrap up, where's the best place for everyone to connect with you, learn more about you and your services?
So my website is emilinalomas.com, which is EMILINALOMAS. And on there, I have my portfolio, I have a blog, I have the pages that I've ghostwritten and my services that I offer. And then my Instagram is at Emilina Wellness. And I share fitness and health tips there and some of the clients that I've worked with.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have our team link to all the show notes and everything. So people can take a look at the show notes in Apple and Spotify and everywhere else to learn more. And kind of for the last question, how long has it been, by the way, since you started the freelance writing journey?
2 years.
2 years. This is really impressive. That's kind of, I've been at it about two and a half with that. So I love your progress and just how much you've been able to do in such a short time. So kind of going on that, what do you think is like the number one thing that has made you really find your brand, get a successful roster of clients and scale at such a fast rate? What would be like the one thing you think that really separated you from a lot of other people?
Passion and science. I think they're the two things that have really made me like a unique writer in the health and fitness industry, because passion number one is I am genuinely obsessed with health and fitness. So I really am practicing what I'm preaching. And whenever I'm not writing, I'm listening to podcasts about health and fitness. I'm watching YouTube videos. I'm watching documentaries. So I really am like obsessed with it. And I think that if you're not obsessed with what you're writing about, you're going to get bored very, very quickly. So that's number one. And number two is I found a voice that is unique to me that I think has been quite successful. And that is just writing about science and just reading clinical trials and staying updated with new research and helping my clients break through the industry by using that science and using that as a basis for what they're selling. So I think that combining my passion and also this like scientific basis of finding a unique voice was really effective for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I think people are going to get a lot out of this, and appreciate you sharing so much of your secrets of success with my audience, and wishing you nothing but the best moving forward.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview with Emilina. Again, make sure you are following her on Instagram. You can learn a lot about how to brand yourself and really show off your expertise on Instagram. It's something I talk about inside Freelance to 5K, is how to use social media to attract customers and clients, and she does that very well. So again, make sure to follow her. And again, you can learn a lot really with how she uses captions, like she talked about inside the interview, and how she uses that to land client. So just want to say thank you again for Emilina being on the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And just remember, again, whatever you're passionate about, you can turn that into a successful writing business. So thanks again for listening. And as always, I hope you have an epic day. Thanks for listening to this episode of Inspire Your Success podcast. If you're the kind of person who likes to help others, please leave a positive review on iTunes so more people can learn about the show. Also, if you have any questions about freelancing, I'm here to assist. Please email support@inspireyoursuccess.com, and I may even use your question for a future episode topic. And if you want more inspiration and freelance writing tips to build your business, follow me on Instagram. My username is @IamMichaelLeonard. Finally, if you're ready to learn how to make your first $1,000 as a freelance writer, check out my free 7-day series at inspireyoursuccess.com/1K. Thanks again for listening.